Hi there everyone. In this video I'm going to be redoing, well not redoing, but showing you another way of doing my most popular tutorial here on YouTube. So my most popular video by a clear mile is my easiest crochet blanket, the super chunky ridged blanket. Now I've had so many messages since I uploaded that video a few years ago saying that people struggle to get super chunky yarn wherever it is that they live in the world, and so I thought I would just show you very quickly how you can achieve the same size, you know, a really super chunky, but by using multiple strands of everyday DK yarn. So you can use all of the same colour if you wanted to. You need to use, or I recommend that you would use 6 strands of DK yarn and a 15mm hook. However, you can obviously use more strands and a bigger hook or whatever you like. And as I say, you can do them all in one colour. You could just have all white or all red or whatever. Or you can have multicoloured strands like I have got in this one. This is for my daughter's bedroom, and this one is just strands of different colours, which I will talk more in depth about in just a minute. So I'm afraid there was a little bit of waffling at the beginning of this video, but I just wanted to explain that it's not a new pattern as such, it's just a new, well not a new way, it's just a different way that you can achieve the same look. But if you can't readily find a super chunky yarn wherever you are, and obviously the effect that you get using this multi-strand method anyway is very, very beautiful. And this one just, I might just name it the Tutti Frutti version because I just love the colours in this blanket. And obviously I have added on some beautiful big tassels, and I will leave the link for all of the information for making and attaching your tassels, because it also means you don't have to sew in the ends, which is obviously a great time saver. So yeah, tassels are always a winner to me. But this is just a small runner for the bottom of my daughter's bed. But I really hope that you enjoy the rest of the tutorial, and let's crack on. Okay, so obviously part of the fun of doing it this way is that you can mix and match any colours that you like. So I've used 6 strands of yarn, and I'm just going to try and pick them out. So we've got like an orangey peach, a pale yellow, a lilac, a white, a soft peach colour, and then this final purple one here is actually a variegated yarn. So I thought that would be quite fun to mix in. So I've got my 5 single colours, and then I thought it would be fun to mix in this variegated yarn, which includes all of the colours that I'd picked anyway. So I'm interested to see how this will work up, but this is just the Hayfield Spirit. For anyone that wants to know, I will list the exact colours that I have used here, as well as the Hayfield Spirit. They are all Shapee's Colour Crafter yarns. So you can see I've made mine into one giant ball of yarn. You don't have to do this, you can just pull and go from all of your yarns. As long as they can spin freely, you should be fine. But I just find it easier working it this way, because then they aren't getting as twisted up as they might if you were just working straight from the individual balls. So I've made it up, and I'm using my 15mm clover hook. I will leave a link to where you can purchase this hook as well. You can get everything that I'm using from the Snufflebean website, which will be linked down below, but you can use absolutely any DK yarn that you choose. So you don't have to have a set number for your foundation chain, you literally just chain until it is as big as you want it to be. There is absolutely no set amount. You're going to yarn over and pull through. So obviously if you haven't worked with multiple strands before, it may feel a little bit weird at first. Again, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through. So you're just going to continue chaining, but always make sure that you have got all the loops on your hook, because if you drop one at any point, obviously that would not be good. So you're just going to continue chaining, take your time with it, make sure you don't do it too tight, otherwise it could fan out as you work, which you don't want. But I will continue chaining now and see you in just a minute, and we will work back along, because obviously I only will need to show you the first 2 rows and then you'll be good to carry on the pattern by yourself. Okie dokie, so I have chained my desired length. I'm actually doing this the width of a single bed for my daughter. So now we're going to start working the actual foundation row. So it's a very nice simple row, but you just obviously, because we're using so many different strands, you just need to make sure that you're going through the right spaces and that you're not catching or missing any bits of yarn that you shouldn't be. So we're going to go into the 3rd chain from the hook. So this is 1, 2, and this is our 3rd chain, and we're going to do a half treble. Remember, that's UK half treble. US, this is your half double. So you want to yarn over, go through that chain, yarn over and pull up. You'll have 3 loops on your hook. Obviously it's quite hard to tell because we've got so many strands, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops. And at this point you can see we've created a chain here. So that is the top of our first proper stitch, but we've also got the funny little chain 2 that we have skipped over. So what you will want to do, just until you're completely confident with where your rows end, so not into this full stitch that we've just created, but into the top of the little 2 chains that we missed, you're just going to pop a stitch marker. Just so that you know on the next row when you work back along where the row actually finishes, and that is your final stitch to work into, not the one that we've just done. And now we are going to continue all the way along doing 1 half treble crochet into every single chain. So again, yarn over, insert into the next chain, yarn over and pull up. You've got your 3 loops, and then again yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops. As I say, it does take a little bit of getting used to. Yarn over into the next chain, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through all 3, and you're going to do that all the way along now. But you can see we are starting to build this up really nicely, so I will meet you at the other end in just a minute. So I'm pretty much back at where we started from with our slip knot, so you want to make sure that you do your final stitch obviously into that very last chain, and then that is your foundation row completed. So we're going to move on now to row 2. So we're not going to chain, we're just going to turn around. So you're going to turn your work. And this bit could be a little bit tricky, so if you'd rather chain 2, then that's completely up to you, that's fine. But this way just gives your blanket a nice straight edge. So we've not chained, we've simply turned our work, and then you can see if I just turn there, we've got our very first stitch just here. So we're just going to move your working end over to the side, and you're going to insert your hook through the whole of that stitch. So you might not be able to tell whether you've got the V because of all the strands, but we're going through the whole of the stitch. Yarn over and pull up, you'll have 2 loops, yarn over, pull through both, and then you can see we've got 2 distinct parts to this stitch we've just made. You want to go underneath that side stitch, yarn over and pull up, and yarn over, pull through 2 again, and that just gives us a real solid stitch for that very first one without a gap, so it just looks a little neater than chaining 2. So now we're going to work the whole of this row, and obviously we've worked into our very first stitch here, and so our next stitch is this next one here. So again, you might need to turn and look for your V. As I say, they can be a bit trickier to spot because of all the colours, but you should still be able to find exactly where your back stitches for each one, because that is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be working into the back loop every time. So we're going to go straight into the next stitch, so yarn over, go into the back loop of the V, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through all three. Again into the next stitch, yarn over, go into the back loop only, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through all three. So one final time, yarn over, through the back loop of the V, yarn over, pull through all three, and that will start to create our ridges just as it does in the original video. So if you continue that all the way along into the back loop, and I will meet you at the other end where we will just firm up those final stitches. So I'm nearing the end of this particular row, so you can see I've got one full stitch left there to work into, and then we've got the row, the one that we left the marker in. So I'm going to do my final stitch, I'm going to do my stitch into that one, and then I'm going to remove the stitch marker because I know now that that's where my final stitch needs to go. And personally I like to work my final stitch and my very first stitch through the whole of the stitch. I just find that it gives a slightly neater finished look. Okay, so that is that row complete. So I will just start this very next row off with you, and then I will leave you to it. So again, I've turned, I haven't chained, and then through that first stitch, through the whole of the stitch, I'm going to yarn over and pull up, yarn over and pull through both, and then again through the side of that stitch. You've got your two sections there, but through the side of that stitch, insert your hook, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through both. And now at this point, now that we're on our first full row, we're not working into any foundation stitches or anything like that, I'm going to pop a stitch marker through the whole of that first stitch that we've just created on the end here, and then again when we work back along we'll know that that is our final stitch to work into. And then this row now is the one that you repeat as many times as you need. So yarn over, and again back loops only, yarn over and pull up, and complete your stitch, and you'll work that all the way across again, and you will literally keep doing that over and over again, so into your final stitch every time. I didn't actually mark it on the last one, I should have said to do so, but hopefully you'll do that anyway. If you're more sensible than me, you'll mark the top of that final stitch each time, and you should have perfectly straight edges and a beautiful finished blanket. So I will meet you at the end in in a little while, once I have completed all of my blanket, and I will just show you what I do with the ends, because I've now completed my final stitch for this little mini bed runner for my daughter. So once you've completed your project and it is the size that you want it to be, after you have done your last stitch, you just want to do a chain one, and then you want to snip off, but leave yourself quite a long tail. You then just want to pull out your hook, bringing the yarn with you, and tighten up. Now I wouldn't recommend sewing in all of these tails together along. I would do them probably two at a time and work them into different parts of your stitches. So that is what I would say is the most secure way to do it. Now when it comes to adding a border or something, I mean obviously you can leave it exactly how it is, like this, but you can add any border at all that you like, but I'm simply going to finish mine off with some tassels. I'm just going to do 4 large tassels, 1 in each corner, and that is how I'm going to leave it, and I think that's going to look wonderful. But I will leave the tutorial for the tassels, and I'm still going to use all of my colours together following that tassel tutorial, so you can follow it very easily, but just use all the colours that you have in your blanket if you want to. So you can see the amazing texture that you get and just how thick it is. I mean, this is heavy, you know, it's only probably, I don't know, maybe 15 inches in width, and it's the width of a single bed, sorry, and then the height of it is probably about 15 inches or so, and it is heavy already. So it's going to look really nice on the bottom of my daughter's bed. But you can see it's so thick and just amazing. Now, one thing that I did mean to mention actually is about tying on new colours, because obviously I have used the entirety pretty much of my 1 ball of each colour to make something this size. So obviously if you want to do a really large throw, you are going to need to use more. And so in which case I would recommend that you don't change all the colours in one go. I would change half the colours at the end of 1 row using the normal colour change method, which as always I will link down below. And then at the end of your next row, I would change the other 3 colours, because if you should, in theory, come to the end of your colours at around the same time, but one row finish 3 colours and then the next row finish the other 3 colours. That is what I would personally recommend. But that is it for the tutorial itself. I really do hope that you have enjoyed this one and that you think it's a nice variation of that first, well, it was one of the very first videos that I did actually. So I do hope that you've enjoyed this, and as always, remember to check out all of the information that I have put in the description box, and remember to tag me on Instagram if you make anything using my tutorials as well. But I will see you for another one very, very soon. Bye for now.